Welcome to Canada Inside, where clarity meets courage, and every truth deserves to be heard. While mainstream voices push the same tired stories, here we dig deeper, question the powerful, and reveal what others won't. You won't get empty headlines, you'll get context, facts, and real talk. So hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell, and more importantly, make your voice count in the comments. Because together, we'll bring truth back to Canadian politics. In a move that has raised eyebrows and sparked quiet concern across conservative circles in Canada, Mark Carney is reported to be actively engaging with U.S. senators behind closed doors, even as global trade tensions continue to simmer. The former governor of the Bank of Canada, and now one of the Liberal Party's most prominent unofficial figureheads, appears to be laying the groundwork for something much larger than just a conversation about economic policy. His meetings are not mere diplomacy. They are calculated, intentional, and strategic. Carney, long viewed as the Liberals' ace in waiting, has remained coy about his political ambitions in Canada. Yet his actions speak louder than his words. While he has yet to officially launch a campaign for leadership or public office, he behaves very much like a man who understands the levers of power and how to position himself near them. And now, as he courts influence in Washington, questions are beginning to swirl. Who is Mark Carney really serving, and where does his allegiance lie? While Alberta Premier Danielle Smith works tirelessly to defend provincial autonomy and ensure that Alberta's interests aren't sacrificed at the altar of federal overreach, Carney seems to be pursuing an entirely different path, one that many fear may once again place Canadian sovereignty in a subordinate position to foreign influence. His recent visit to Washington comes at a time when trade friction between Canada and the U.S. is mounting, particularly in sectors that matter most to Western Canadians: energy, agriculture, and manufacturing. It's worth noting that Carney's career has consistently placed him at the center of elite global institutions, from the Bank of England to the United Nations. His ties to global finance, multinational organizations, and supranational economic agendas have long made him a darling of the internationalist class. But to many everyday Canadians, particularly those in Alberta and Saskatchewan, these connections evoke more concern than comfort. There's a growing sense among conservative thinkers and grassroots voters alike that Carney represents the very embodiment of the Ottawa Establishment. An establishment that has often marginalized Western voices, dismissed legitimate provincial concerns, and prioritized ideological conformity over common-sense governance. While premiers like Danielle Smith fight for tangible policy victories, pushing back against federal intrusions, promoting economic growth, and safeguarding personal freedoms, figures like Carney seem more interested in maintaining the status quo of central Canadian dominance. The optics of his recent U.S. visit are telling. Rather than rallying support for Canada's national interests in an open, democratic forum, Carney opts for closed-door discussions with powerful foreign lawmakers. It's a method that, while perfectly legal, invites criticism in a climate where transparency and accountability are more important than ever. What exactly is being discussed behind those doors? What promises are being made, and to whose benefit? While Ottawa continues to pursue policies that many Albertans see as hostile to their way of life, carbon taxes, energy transition mandates, gun control expansions, it's easy to understand why the appearance of Carney in Washington would be troubling. It reinforces the perception that Ottawa, and those who seek to lead it, are more interested in aligning with foreign priorities than with the concerns of hardworking Canadian families. Particularly those in the West, who have been forced to fight for every inch of respect and autonomy they have. Danielle Smith, for her part, has not been silent. Her recent public appearances, speeches, and policy proposals reflect a growing frustration with the way Canada is being governed. She has called for real action on issues like economic independence, provincial jurisdiction, and family values, issues that matter deeply to her base. While Smith promotes homegrown solutions and urges Ottawa to listen, figures like Carney appear to be listening elsewhere, to institutions, ideologies, and agendas far removed from the lived experiences of average Canadians. It's a contrast that could not be more stark. One represents grassroots resilience, local leadership, and a commitment to provincial sovereignty. The other stands as a symbol of global technocracy, central authority, and top-down governance. And as the next federal election draws closer, these two visions for Canada are bound to collide more directly. To many in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and even parts of rural Ontario and BC, Carney's rise is not exciting, it's alarming. It's not that his intelligence or resume is in question, it's that his worldview is so disconnected from the people he may one day hope to govern. Where Smith sees opportunity in strengthening the provinces, Carney sees unity in conformity. Where Smith calls for bold reforms, Carney calls for consensus, often at the expense of dissenting voices. And where Smith embraces the uniqueness of Alberta's culture, economy, and identity, Carney seems more inclined to fold it into a one-size-fits-all national plan. What does it say about the future of Canadian democracy, when those most poised to lead appear more comfortable in the halls of foreign power than in town halls across their own country? It's a question that voters must begin to ask themselves. Not out of paranoia, but out of prudence. Canada has always been a nation of balance, east and west, rural and urban, English and French, industry and environment. But that balance only works when all voices are heard and respected. When Alberta says no to carbon taxes, it shouldn't be treated as an inconvenience, it should be taken seriously. When provinces push back against top-down mandates, it should spark dialogue, not punishment. Unfortunately, this is not the political culture that the Liberals or their surrogates appear to encourage. Instead, we see increasing centralization, regulatory overreach, and the demonization of dissent. And in that context, Carney's presence in Washington begins to look less like diplomacy, and more like quiet preparation. As trade tensions escalate, especially in sectors crucial to Alberta's prosperity, one would expect a strong defense of Canadian interests from those who claim to represent them. But when that defense is carried out in secret, with foreign actors and absent provincial consultation, confidence begins to erode. Who speaks for Alberta? Who protects its farmers, its oil workers, its small businesses? Premier Smith has made it clear that she intends to do just that. Whether Ottawa likes it or not. The political lines are being drawn more clearly than ever. On one side, a federal establishment that continues to push a narrow vision of the country, one built around centralization, technocracy, and deference to global agendas. On the other, a rising provincial movement determined to protect the rights, culture, and autonomy of the people who feel increasingly ignored. Carney may be playing a long game, carefully crafting an image of competence and consensus. But Canadians are watching more closely now. They've seen what's happened over the last decade: ballooning deficits, declining trust in institutions, rising costs, and widening regional divides. They're asking hard questions, and they deserve real answers. This isn't about personal attacks or political theater. It's about the future of the country. It's about ensuring that Canada remains a federation, not an empire. That provinces have the power to shape their destinies, rather than being dictated to from Ottawa. And it's about choosing leaders who will listen, really listen, to the people they serve. Danielle Smith isn't just pushing back, she's laying out a vision for Alberta that is bold, principled, and unapologetically local. It's a vision that resonates not just in her province, but across a country increasingly hungry for leaders who are willing to stand up, speak plainly, and lead with conviction. At Canada Inside, we'll keep tracking these critical developments, cutting through distractions to expose what really matters. Subscribe, stay sharp, and join us as we uncover the forces shaping Canada's tomorrow. Because truth deserves a voice, and here, your voice has power. Let's reclaim the conversation together.